Good evening, everybody. This is the public information meeting for state project number 83272, which is the Interstate 95 southbound exit 38 deceleration lane extension. My name is Chris Van Olden. I'm the project engineer working for Lochner as a consultant to the Connecticut Department of Transportation. Tonight's meeting agenda is listed here. I'll start by covering your civil rights, followed by some instructions on how to use Zoom, and then I'll give a formal presentation on the project, and we'll wrap up with a question and answer session. The project webpage address is shown here and will be shown on a few other slides throughout the presentation. The project personnel that are all present for this meeting include Joseph Arsenault, the project manager at the Department of Transportation, and Jared Hendrickson, the project engineer at the Department of Transportation. Along with myself from Lochner is Essen Segir, who is the project manager. Next is our Title VI slide, giving some information on your civil rights. No person shall, on the basis of race, color, or national origin, be excluded from participation or subject to discrimination in the development of this project. A link to the post-meeting survey is shown below. The QR code will also bring you to the survey. We would appreciate any feedback in an effort to improve the public involvement process on future projects. The second link will also bring you to a web page with further information regarding your civil rights. A recording of this presentation will be posted on CTDOT's YouTube channel after the event. Closed captioning, including non-English translation options, will be available on the YouTube recording as well. This next slide is the official Title VI notice to the public that states that any person who believes she or he has been aggrieved by any unlawful discriminatory practice under Title VI may file a complaint with the CTDOT. The procedures to file a complaint and contact info are shown below. Again, the QR code on this slide will bring you to the post-meeting survey. Again, after the formal presentation is complete, we'll have a live question and answer session. There's 3 ways to submit questions. You could submit questions to our project email at dotproject0083-0272@ct.gov. You could also call our number at 860-594-2020 and leave a voicemail. And you could submit a question during this live Zoom session. On the next slide, I'll go over instructions on how to submit questions on Zoom. Submitting a question through Zoom is only available during this live session. And the period for submitting questions and comments will be open until November 12th, 2024. Again, the project webpage is shown here, where you can find additional information on the project, including the project description and a role plan. How to use Zoom Q&A. At the bottom of your screen, if you select the Q&A tool, a window will appear. The window will open as seen on the right. You could type your questions in the text box and then click enter. If you are an audio-only participant, if you dial *9 to raise and lower your hand. The last thing I want to cover before we get into the project materials is how to view captions and subtitles in Zoom. If you click Show Captions CC at the bottom of your screen, and then click Speaking Language, you can select the language you would like from the list shown. Closed captioning, including non-English translation options, will be available on YouTube after the event. So this project was reviewed under Section 106 of the National Historic Preservation Act. CTDOT's Office of Environmental Planning reached a finding of no adverse effect to historic properties. This finding was achieved under CTDOT's programmatic agreement regarding implementation of minor transportation projects with FHWA, SHPO, CTDOT, and the Advisory Council on Historic Preservation. This project is located in the city of Milford on I-95 southbound at the exit 38 off-ramp to Milford Parkway northbound. Milford Parkway, also known as the Connector, connects I-95 with Route 15, the Wilbur-Cross Parkway, and Route 1 in Milford. This section of highway was identified in the I-95 Improvements Feasibility Evaluation Study Report. The heavy off-ramp volumes at exit 38 lead to congestion and crashes. The off-ramp has a deficient deceleration length for vehicles leaving I-95 southbound and entering the ramp. The purpose of this project is to improve safety and reduce congestion by extending the deceleration lane of this ramp. I-95 southbound is classified as an urban freeway. This section of I-95 sees about 65,100 vehicles per day and has a posted speed limit of 55 miles per hour. The roadway consists of three 12-foot wide lanes, a left median shoulder that is approximately 15 feet wide, and a right shoulder which varies from 6.5 to 13 feet in width. The section of I-95 southbound within our project limits consists of a 4,911-foot radius horizontal curve with a 2.7% super elevation rate, which meets design criteria standards for 55 miles per hour. The profile of the highway has a 1% maximum grade. The roadside safety consists of metal beam rail along the outside shoulder and a concrete barrier in the median. The exit 38 off-ramp is classified as an urban freeway ramp. This ramp sees about 15,400 vehicles per day and has a posted speed limit of 35 miles per hour. Based on data from 2023, the 85th percentile speed of vehicles on this ramp is 45 miles per hour. The ramp consists of a 13 to 15-foot wide travel lane with a 4-foot left shoulder and 5 to 7-foot right shoulder. The ramp has a taper layout as it diverges from I-95 and has approximately 114 feet of deceleration length. The ramp has an 800-foot radius horizontal curve with a 3.4% super elevation rate, only meeting design standards for a 25 mile per hour speed. The ramp profile consists of a crest curve with 0.6% and 4.7% tangents. There's also metal beam rail along both shoulders of the ramp. Also within the project limits, there's an existing 60-inch asphalt-coated corrugated metal pipe running beneath both I-95 southbound and northbound. The culvert pipe is approximately 211 feet long. It sees a drainage area of about 0.42 square miles, and it outlets to the north of I-95 on the I-95 southbound side. The culvert has wing-type end walls at both the inlet and outlet ends. An initial condition assessment has been completed, and a video inspection of the pipe is forthcoming. The graphic below shows all the reported crashes in a 3-year period from January 2021 to December 2023. There were 28 reported crashes with 6 reported injuries. The legend here shows the types of crashes that were reported, including 36% rear end crashes, 36% fixed object crashes, and 28% sideswipe crashes. The proposed improvements along I-95 southbound include the increased deceleration length for the exit 38 off-ramp. The proposed design increases that length from 114 feet to 800 feet. Full depth roadway reconstruction and embankment reconstruction are required to establish this new exit lane. The roadside safety will be upgraded to meet the latest MASH standards, and there are 3 drainage systems along I-95 southbound that will be modified due to the widening of the highway and reconstruction of the embankment. The section above is a typical section of I-95, showing the widening required for the new exit lane. The brown shape here represents the fill that's required for the new embankment. Improvements to I-95 southbound were made using a 70-mile-per-hour design speed. The new 12-foot wide exit lane will be super elevated at 2.7%, matching the cross slopes of the 3 through lanes on I-95. A 12-foot wide right shoulder will be provided throughout the project limits. And the 3 through lanes of I-95 southbound and the median shoulder will be maintained and just receive milling and overlay and new pavement striping. Along with an extended deceleration lane, the off-ramp itself will be widened to provide a standard cross-section consisting of a 12-foot wide lane, 4-foot wide left shoulder, and 10-foot wide right shoulder. The super elevation rate along the ramp will be increased from 3.4% to 6% on the ramp to meet design standards for a 45-mile-per-hour design speed. The roadside safety along the ramp will also be updated to meet the latest MASH standards. This section above is a typical section of the ramp, showing the proposed lane configuration, the 12-foot wide travel lane, 4 to 8-foot wide left shoulder, and 10-foot right shoulder. Um, and this on the right side shows the proposed widening along the right shoulder. The improvements on this ramp were made using a 45-mile-per-hour design speed. There were some additional design elements that we considered. There's 6 existing light standards and luminaires that will need replacement due to the widening of the highway. There's an existing overhead sign that's pictured here that will require relocation due to the widening. There's also various other signs within the project limits that will be relocated. Within the project limits, all the pavement markings will be restriped. There's no utilities or right-of-way impacts anticipated at this time. So in order to construct the proposed improvements, we've broken down the construction into 4 stages. Throughout the duration of construction, 3 11-foot travel lanes will be maintained during peak periods on I-95 southbound. 1 11-foot travel lane will also be maintained on the ramp during peak periods. A 2-foot minimum width shoulder and 1-foot shoulder width in restricted areas will be provided throughout construction. In stage 1, we'll construct a temporary pavement along the left shoulder of the exit ramp. In stage 2, we'll shift I-95 southbound traffic towards the median and the ramp traffic onto that temporary pavement. We'll also construct temporary access roads for the pipelining and outlet end wall construction. These access roads will be constructed on both I-95 southbound and I-95 northbound to access the cross culvert. In this stage, we'll also construct the proposed highway widening, the overhead sign support, the 3 drainage systems, and proposed roadside safety. In stage 3, we'll shift the ramp traffic onto the new widening and construct the proposed ramp gore. Stage 4 will shift traffic into the final configurations and place the final 2 inches of pavement on the entire project limits. So in order to complete the ramp construction, a temporary closure and detour will be required. The proposed detour shown below will direct traffic past the exit 38 off ramp. Vehicles will be directed to use the exit 36 off ramp to Plains Road, where they will then get back on I-95 northbound and take the I-95 northbound exit 38 to the Milford Parkway. This detour is approximately 2.4 miles long. It will be implemented during off-peak periods at night between the hours of 9 p.m. and 4 a.m. Coordination with the city as well as transit and emergency services will occur during final design. This project requires some environmental coordination and permits. Coordination with Deep Fisheries, SHPO, TIPO, and the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Services will be required. The expected permits for this project are also listed below. The estimated construction cost of this project is $7.2 million, with a funding source 90% federal, 10% state. Advertising for bid is scheduled for spring of 2027, with a construction start of fall 2027 and construction completion fall 2028. So that concludes the formal presentation of Project 83272. We'll now begin the question answer session of this meeting. Just to reiterate, there are 3 separate ways to submit questions. You could submit questions to our project email at dotproject0083-0272@ct.gov. You could also leave a voicemail at 860-594-2020, or you can submit a question during this live Zoom session. And the question and comment period will be open until November 12th, 2024. Again, the project webpage is shown here, where you can find additional information on the project. With that, I'll hand it over to Jared Hendrickson to moderate the Q&A session.
Thank you, Chris. Anyone on the call, please submit questions via the Q&A. Currently, we have none right now. Please remember that you can also submit questions via email or the telephone via voicemail, the number listed on the presentation screen, and also Zoom Q&A. This meeting's also been recorded and will be posted on the YouTube webpage as well. Oh, we have one question from Kathy Kennedy. Will there be any impact to the nearby residential area?
Excuse me. There won't be any impact to the residential area. All the work being performed within the state right away.
Kathy also states specifically impacts with flooding and noise.
Hi, Kathy. There won't be any extra impact of noise or flooding. As we stated, the pipe will be realigned and all the work will be done off-peak hour. So basically, there'll be a less of a traffic during the day than what we perform. Noise-wise, there won't be any extra noise.
Okay, Kathy says thank you. Would anyone else on the call like to submit any questions in the Q&A? Just remember that you can also submit them by email, by phone, or in the Q&A here. And the presentation will be posted to YouTube tomorrow. Okay, thank you very much, everyone, for attending. This will be the end of the virtual public information meeting for project 0083-0272. Thank you very much and have a good evening.